Finding the Middle, Monday edition. Stream now.
Hello, everybody. Special edition of the MiddleGround. Mike, Congress is now saying there's a deal on the table. They voted for it. There's a short-term patch funding going through the end of January. It's going to get back pay to federal workers. There's multiple full-year bills baked into this. What's funded, who moved to what, and what it means for everybody. Michigan, schools, parks, snaps, your paycheck, no left, no right, forward. If you love this, tap subscribe, grab our newsletter. The links are in the description. Check out our Spotify or Buzzsprout to get our one-pager fact sheet while you listen. All right, what's actually in this new deal? The stopgap funds most agencies at the current level through the end of January. Senate bill is section 106.3. There's three bills in it: minibus, not an omnibus, minibus, agriculture, legislative branch, military, construction, VA, that go through all the way through the end of next year. The back pay, which is really important for the federal workers who were getting hosed. Plus job protections, explicit back pay authority, and reversal of shutdown related RAF/layoff notices with pay restored and notices rescinded, section 120. State grantee backfill. The states or grantees who fronted money, SNAP, Head Start. So if the states or whatever programs put the money forth in anticipation that the federal government is going to take care of it, they're going to get reimbursed with interest. I don't think they should have done the interest part, but hey, it is what it is. The next steps that are still required, right? Senate final passage, plus the House still has to vote on it. The president's signature is still important. Healthcare subsidies vote promised in December. That's separate from it, though. Please actually come up with a solution, Congress. Solution. If you work for the feds or a grantee, share the segment with your team. Let us know what you think about this. I mean, these are just some quick hits, right? Let's really look at the nitty-gritty. Who negotiated this CR draft bill Sunday night, right? Bipartisan Senate block. Shaheen from New Hampshire, Hassan from New Hampshire, King from Maine were central in breaking the stalemate. Eight Democratic caucus senators, moved the deal over the 60. Durbin, Tim Kaine, which I was very surprised Tim Kaine jumped over because we already know how he is. Cortez Masto, Rosen, Fetterman, Hassan, Sheen, and King. We knew the rest of those would. There's no ACA subsidy extension in the package, though. Instead, leaders offered a separate December vote. And that's where people on the harder left, if you want to call it that, have an issue. And I don't blame them for having an issue with it. I think that it should have included an extension till the end of January at a minimum, or an extension till next year. I'm against subsidies, 1,000%. I think they need to focus on fixing the cost, not passing it from your pocket to taking out of your paycheck so you never see the money. Because at some point, the insurance companies still get paid. All these subsidies are a blank check to the very people that some Democrats and some Republicans claim that they're going to go after big pharma, big insurance. Well, all they do is keep giving them a blank paycheck and they're taking it from you. Stop believing it. Stop buying into it. Stop saying, oh, the other side this or the other side that. Stop that. They're playing you for fools. They did in this shutdown. I said it on this show. I said, as soon as that shutdown's over, maybe I got my timeline wrong by a couple days, but I said, magically, there will be some kind of solution to this. Guess what? There was. Why? Because both sides were playing this shutdown to make you think it was the other side's fault, and they had the American people buying it hook, line, and sinker. To be fair, CNN actually called it how it is. Democrats, they needed 60 votes to get this over. Republicans got the 60 votes, right? They could have used nuclear option. But again, I even said in this show that I'm against nuclear option for the simple fact that at some point the opposite side is going to be in power, and they may not like something that you're doing, or they want to force something through. You don't just want to open that door because y'all can't get a 3-month spending plan in order. A terrible idea. I broke with the president on this significantly. But again, I will say it again. They played the American public on this election with the shutdown. They were played. The American public, they played us for fools. Some bought it, some didn't. But let's kind of go on, right? Let's talk about what's funded now versus what's going to be funded later. The USDA, SNAP, WIC operations. Um, the legislative branch, you got your Capitol Police, Member Security, MilCon, VA. To me, things like SNAP, uh, Capitol Police, certain things like this shouldn't even be subject to funding wins. But the funded by the CR is until late January. All the other agencies, defense limited new starts at current rates. That comes from the Senate Committee Continuing Appropriations Act 2026. Back pay mechanics. So this is kind of how it's going to work. Payments for employees and expected work during the lapse are authorized and must be made. That's part of the CR. So they are going to pay these people for this time that they should have been there because their government can't figure out how to pay a light bill. Grantee guarantee states / locals that kept programs running can reimburse with interest. Now, see, but from what my understanding is it's pretty much a done deal. Um, you know, back paying with interest. I'm not against. I mean, interest, yeah. I mean, but they can barely pay the bills as it is. I'm all for giving these people back pay, I mean, I guess the interest could be a bonus. But what's not decided, right? I mean, that previous thing's kind of subject. I get where people are coming from. I guess I'm not against it really, but while I'm thinking about it, there's no final answer yet on a 1 year long ACA subsidies inside the bill. Separate vote has been pledged for December. Congress, please stop lining the pockets of the insurance companies. Actually do something to address the fact of why we even need those things to begin with. Fix that problem. For the love of everything, fix that problem. Uh, you know, but here in Michigan, agencies, not nonprofits, I'm telling you, subscribe. I'll post, how to the OMB guidance whenever I find it. I'm going to post it on there. We're going to start making sure we get these files up for everybody for a lot of these episodes so people can really dig down and they can see where we get our information so they can understand we're not full of shit. Um, let's talk a little bit about how this is going to impact here locally, right? SNAP distribution. Michigan paused November SNAP pending federal funding. 1.4 million residents, 13% of the state's population depend on SNAP. But they did get a partial restart. Michiganders did see some November benefits resume after the federal action under court pressure. Head Start temporarily closed. Thousands of Michigan kids are at risk if the lapse had continued. What the deal changes with the AG funded for this year, SNAP WIC's administration flow stabilizes once enacted. The school knock-ons, right? Advocacy groups warned of immediate hardship if the shutdown persisted through November. The deal averts deeper cuts if passed. We should not be cutting the education. We should be fixing how this money's used, not cutting it. We need to fix how the money's used. Parents, teachers, drop your district in the chat. If you need, I can look up sources for all that and how it may affect you. Let me know. Michigan impacts, or not just Michigan, sorry, parks and tourism. 56,000 federal jobs with CRS mapping by district, right? There's going to be back clarity paid. They're going to take care of that for everybody in each state by state by state, right? They're going to be doing a return to the office plus layoff politics. Have they been amplified in the government's workforce this year because of everything, right? With all the Doge layoffs, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's just been very unsettling for people who are at the federal workforce. I'm definitely for a smaller federal government, but like I said, you got to do things in transitions. You can't just do it. It's not how things work. But there has been a procedural hurdle cleared, because they got the 60-40 vote because the 8 Democrat senators that joined, of course, like typical, Rand Paul voted no. He opposed it. He was a key vote. The House, for them to get this through the House, it's going to require really quick scheduling. Dynamics remain tense. This is not a guarantee it's going to pass the House, people. It is not guaranteed. There's a lot of simmering in there that is not really being talked about too much. There's a lot of simmering. Do I think it'll pass? Yes. Is it guaranteed? No. The December marker, right? So the leadership promised a separate vote on ACA subsidies by mid-December. I can understand where people on the far left are coming from, like AOC and all them, saying Chuck Schumer dropped the ball because he did. If this is your rallying cry that you used at election time, mind you, they played you. Like I said earlier, they played you. Um, why are you not towing the line? This has to get done. This has to get done. Or why not? Why not even take the Republicans to task and say, hey, you propose a couple separate bills to fund these agencies. Let's vote on them. Take them to task. Put the money where the mouth is. No, you did exactly what I said you were going to do. You got the Congress tucked its tail between its legs, played the American public, and then came back and said, hey, oh, look, we're going to do this, and we might vote on your health care by December. What? What? How would you feel if your job said, well, I'll vote on your paycheck. You might get some back pay. We might include fix your health insurance by the middle of December. See you next weekend. That's kind of how they treated it. Excuse me. You know, it's it's just insane. If it slips, another week of procedural hurdles is possible before the final passage. I'm gonna post updates as I see them. Get the newsletter, follow along, because once some of the stuff irons out completely, I will send out a follow up. You know, why did some of these Democratic senators cross, right? So they want to end the economic pain. They're trying to protect workers. They're trying to secure a vote on ACA subsidies later. That's where they made the mistake. They should have guaranteed some sort of situation with the ACA ahead of time. But that ACA thing for including subsidies should include a mandatory solution within 1 year of how they're going to control costs going forward. Why others balked, right? No guaranteed healthcare extension, fear of losing leverage. You did to a degree. But I mean, again, in January, we're going to be at the same spot again, arguing over paying bills. Yeah. The public mood, right? Consumer sentiment has been killed because of this. In the United States, it's slid near lows we haven't seen in years. The shutdown fatigue is real. There's a lot of people that depend on a lot of things, not just people that are on Snap. There's a lot of people that depend on these things. Here in the middle of the road, right? Take certainty, paychecks, Snap flow now. Legislate healthcare next. But that really needs to address the problem. So every year we're not sitting here going, well, let's fund it, increased rates from insurance companies. We have to fix these problems. And I'm sorry, the federal government is not the ones to do it. They can't even vote on making sure you got health care that you pay for. They can't even vote on that. They can't figure it out. Move it back to the states. Work with the states, have the states get their own program set up for more of a statewide system to get people taken care of, because the states are going to do a better job. I mean, heck, Republicans in here voted to increase funding for education without having to be called out vile people. Why? Because in certain situations, they know it's the right thing to do. On Capitol Hill, they wouldn't vote for nothing, not unless it was donated to them. But why others balked, right? Because of that, right? So, we talked about the sentiment. But if you got paid or your kids' program reopened, this deal does matter to you. Share this with one person who needs the TLDR and get them sign up for the PDF recap that's coming later today. Let's do a 10 and 10 fact or fiction rapid fire. The deal funds most agencies only until January. Fact. It permanently extends ACA subsidies. Fiction. Separate vote is promised, but it's not in the bill. Federal employees get back pay. Fact. Contractors automatically get back pay. Fiction. It's not automatic in the CR text. Snap WIC admin stability improves if the AG bill passes. Fact. Michigan paused some SNAP benefits in November. Fact. Got to figure out where the money's going to come from, right? The deal authorizes mass federal layoffs during the CR. Fiction. Layoff protections, RAF notices have been rescinded. And they're saying that a lot of people are going to get back pay with interest. Only Republicans voted yes. Fiction. 8 Democrats did vote yes. The Senate vote was 60-40 to advance. Fact. The CR covers all 12 full year bills. Fiction. 3 full year, the rest are temporary. Again, the things you need to function to them are temporary. Remember that when you go to vote next year. National parks ran fully staffed during the shutdown. Fiction. Guess what? People need money. They're not going to show up to work if they're not getting paid. Some Head Start programs closed. Fact. Again, people need money. They got to get paid. This bill reimburses states as grantees who fronted funds. Fact. Smart move, Congress. Smart move. Back pay is optional for agencies. Fiction. Authorized and shall be made for personnel per section 116 from the Senate committee. There's a firm House commitment on ACA's subsidies. There's no House pledge. That is a fiction. The CR expires on January 30th, 2026. Fact. Consumer sentiment improved during the shutdown. Fiction. Dropped sharply because people didn't know where things were going and where some of them were going to get their next meal. USD programs are in the full year pledge. Fact. The deal reversed RAF notices issued since October 1st. That is a fact. The Senate posted the official bill text on Sunday. Fact. You know, as we look at some of the stuff, right? This was just a quick update about where we are, where we're going with things. If this holds, families across this country are going to get relief fast. Federal workers are going to get paychecks restored, especially the ones that really need it. SNAP is now stabilized for now. Parks back to normal operations. We're going to keep the receipts here, call balls and strikes as the House moves. Subscribe, grab the newsletter for the updated fact sheet, and let's keep finding the middle. Newsletter link is in the description. Download the one pager and share it to everybody. No left, no right, forward.